Hitman Joe Flood, misdiagnosed with a terminal illness, puts a hit on himself to end it quickly. But when he finds out he's healthy, it's too late to cancel the deadly contract. Can Joe survive the relentless wave of assassins now hunting him? Spoilers ahead. The movie starts with a dance performance in Budapest. Hitman Joe Flood kills several bodyguards and then goes after his target on the balcony. The target tries to negotiate that he can triple the amount he is being paid for, but Joe denies it. He then begs for a few more seconds to watch the show and slowly grabs his gun, but Joe shoots him in the head and tells the target's female companion to keep quiet and leave. A bodyguard noticed the woman rushing out, which made him suspicious. As Joe was trying to leave, he suddenly got a headache. The bodyguard checked on his boss and saw he was dead. Outside, the security guard spotted the bodyguard with a gun, which led to a shootout. The gunfire causes a panic, and everyone starts running. Joe sees a fallen dancer, Maisie, and helps her escape. She tries to thank him, but Joe gets another headache. She asks her fellow dancers for water, but when she turns back, Joe is gone. Joe returns to his heavily secured apartment and realizes he forgot to give back Maisie's phone. The following morning, Joe gets medical tests because of his headaches. The doctor found no tumors, but had to run some more tests as he drew Joe's blood. Next, he visits his handler and close friend, Zvi, and tells him that he's questioning his life's choices. Zvi encourages him to take a vacation or to meet a nice girl. Later, Joe goes to Maisie's dance studio to return her phone. Grateful for his help, Maisie gives him her number and invites him to dinner. Joe thinks about tossing the number, but decides to keep it because he's attracted to her. Joe and Maisie go out for dinner. She talks about her passion for dancing and her dream of opening a dance school. Joe tells her he works in retirement planning. They start dating seriously, while Joe continues his secret life as a hitman. Joe falls in love with Maisie and tells Zvi about her, mentioning that he's unsure if he can reveal his real job to her. He's serious enough about Maisie to consider quitting his job, and Zvi supports his decision. Joe invites Zvi to join a birthday dinner that Maisie plans for him. During the dinner, Maisie's friend grows suspicious, thinking Joe might be married, but Sharon, Zvi's partner, reassures her that Joe is deeply in love with Maisie. Meanwhile, Joe is in the bathroom, experiencing another headache. During the dinner, Zvi urges Joe to tell Maisie the truth about his job, believing she will understand him. However, Joe gets his test results back, and his doctor, Dr. Kagan, tells him he has Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, a brain disorder that will shut down his motor functions within about 3 months, and there is no cure. Worried about Maisie's future, Joe asks Zvi to arrange a hit on him so Maisie can get life insurance money. Zvi refuses because he cares too much for Joe. As a last resort, Joe goes to Antoinette, another skilled assassin, who assigns contracts. She has a grudge against Joe for killing her father, who was also his mentor. Joe asks her to put a $2 million hit on him, effective at midnight. Antoinette agrees and contacts various hitmen, including Lovedoll, who turns it down for being too low, and Korean assassin Goyang and his crew, plus 2 Hungarian brothers who love to kill their target with their motorbikes. Joe meets with Maisie and makes up an excuse to break up with her, hoping it will make it easier for her when he dies. She also had good news for him, but didn't share it after their breakup. Meanwhile, Antoinette's bodyguard secretly follows Joe and takes photos of him and his girlfriend. He goes home, leaves the doors unlocked, gets drunk, and leaves Maze a heartfelt voicemail explaining his diagnosis and that he truly loves her. Moments later, Dr. Kagan urgently calls Joe to inform him that his test results were mixed up with another patient and that Joe is not sick. Joe looks at the clock and realizes he's in deep trouble. Goyang and his gang arrive at Joe's apartment and launch an attack. Joe fights back, killing each member one by one, ending with jamming a weapon into Goyang's head. The final assassin dies when Joe sets off a booby trap, causing a bomb to explode and send her flying out the window. Joe calls Antoinette to cancel the hit, but she refuses and doubles the bounty to ensure Joe's death. He then leaves a voicemail to Maisie, telling her to leave Budapest as it is no longer safe for her. The Hungarian brothers arrive on their motorcycles, but Joe crushes one brother's skull and sends the other flying. Antoinette follows through and contacts every available hitman in Europe. Lovedoll joins the hunt since the bounty has increased and is paired with an inexperienced British assassin named Money, who is clumsy. Scottish brothers Angus and Rory Mackenzie take the contract after a few drinks. British strippers Ginny and Tanya, known as the Party Girls, finish off their targets and then aim for Joe. A dancing assassin named Bodus also enters the chase. After hearing Joe's message, Maisie follows his instructions even though his friend discourages her, as she still trusts him. Joe seeks help from Zvi and his wife. Zvi gives him explosives, and Sharon gives Joe a massage. Despite Zvi's warning that she might paralyze Joe, snapping his neck actually relieves his headaches and clears his vision. However, as Maze gets to her apartment to pack, Lovedoll and Money are waiting outside. As they try to grab her, Maze kicks Money in the groin, knocking him down. Lovedoll then knocks Maze out and takes her with them. Joe then heads to a nearby castle to set up traps and lure all the assassins there to eliminate them at once. Fortunately, Zvi says that no one on his side took Antoinette's $4 million offer to kill Joe. After setting the traps, the Mackenzie brothers are the first to arrive at the castle to confront Joe. They approach confidently, ready to kill, until Joe steps out to fight them. Joe triggers a booby trap that sends Angus flying into a deer head's antlers, impaling him, and then Joe stabs Rory in the neck. Next, the party girls show up with guns drawn, shooting at Joe. He tricks Ginny into a trap, pulls a pin from her grenade belt, and throws her towards Tanya, causing an explosion that kills them both. While on the way to the castle, Lovedoll tells Maisie that Joe is the most successful hitman in Europe. Back at the castle, Bodis then tries to attack Joe, but Joe sets off a C4 explosive, blowing Bodis to pieces. After arriving at the castle, Lovedoll uses Maisie's phone to tell Joe that she's been captured and where to meet him. A hit squad led by Antoinette's right-hand man, Max, arrives, but Joe kills most of them. Meanwhile, Maisie convinces Money to let her out of the car to stretch her legs, then hits him over the head. When Joe arrives at the cemetery to meet Lovedoll, Maisie takes the car and runs into Lovedoll before picking up Joe. While driving away, Max shoots at them and believes he got a shot in. Lovedoll is unhappy about Antoinette sending more assassins and demands she increase the contract to $6 million. As they leave, Joe tells Maisie about his real job as a hitman and that his terminal diagnosis was a mistake. He promises to quit the assassin's life for her. Maisie then reveals she is pregnant and doesn't want to raise a child with a killer. She starts to pass out from a bullet wound in her shoulder, caused by Max. Meanwhile, Lovedoll abandons Money due to his incompetence. Joe takes Maisie to a church for safety and to treat her wound. The priest helps them, and when Maisie wakes up, Joe proposes. The priest agrees to marry them on the spot, even though they're unprepared, but first, Joe has to confess. The priest is shocked by Joe's long history of murder, but decides to officiate just to get them out of the church. Suddenly, Lovedoll arrives and shoots the priest in the shoulder, but he's okay. Max and his men also arrive and tells Lovedoll that Antoinette denies his $6 million demand. Joe and Lovedoll fights off most of Max's goons, and Lovedoll is trapped under a scaffolding. Just as Max is about to kill Lovedoll, Joe sneaks up behind him, but he realizes he is out of bullets. While Max is saying his lines, Maisie shoots him in the head, horrified by what she has done. Joe then takes Maisie out of the church, leaving Lovedoll behind, who is also fine. Antoinette tries to leave town after finding out that Joe has killed all the assassins she sent. However, Zvi catches her first and reminds her that she broke the rules by sending a mercenary group during an open contract, which dishonored the agreement among assassins. He then shoots her in the head. Joe and Maisie eventually have a real wedding with their friends, including the priest, who is thankful for financing for the church's renovation. Joe vows to leave his assassin life behind, but Maisie worries about the high cost of raising a child and suggests that he might not want to give it up completely. And the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for our next movie.